You're listening to Sudbury News Talk.
I want to show you something.
Stand by. On the morning shift.
Anything
could happen.
Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.
Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift. I'm AJ Walsh. Glad to be with you this morning, and I'm glad that you're with us. It's going to be a great show. It's December the 22nd, 2022. Time is ticking down until 2023. Can you believe it? It's going to be a new year in almost a week. Yeah, it's hard to believe, but we are here, and it's going to happen. So today, special show. My birthday is today, so thank you, everyone, for all your birthday wishes already on Facebook. I really appreciate that, and happy birthday to all of you that it's your birthday today as well. So we're joining in our birthday celebrations together today. The day after the first day of winter, which was yesterday, which I failed to mention on the show, which I wanted to mention, but anyways, it is what it is. Everyone knows that is what it is. Solstice lasts 3 days, apparently, as far as my brother was concerned, and I still have to research that, but he says it's a 3-day cycle where it's the shortest time of the year between December 21st and December 24th. Anyways, so that's according to my brother, and he's usually right when he's adamant about it. So thanks for being with us this morning, and thank you, Stacy, for that. Yes, good morning. Comments are working today, so make sure to like, subscribe, follow, share, and comment, because this is your show. Good morning, Brian. It's your show on your station, CKLU 96.7 FM, where you can catch us live. Those of you that are driving into work, make sure to drive according to conditions. It is a little colder out there, which could create black ice underneath that little powder of snow that we got out there. As I'm losing my connection here with the on one of my laptops, I just have to keep an eye out for each laptop around me and what's going on, because it's 4 laptops, iPad, and some other devices, and a TV behind me, as you can see. But anyways, we're also streaming on CKLU 96.7 FM on the CKLU.ca web page, and you can just click the Radio Player Canada logo, and you can stream us anytime. Also, you can download the Radio Player Canada app and listen to us anytime, anywhere on your favorite device. So yes, we have, and I thought I already got rid of that, so we got that going now. Looking forward to a good show. There's lots to cover today. There's tons. There's so much to cover. And some sad news as well. And it's not something that I really enjoy doing at all, is covering sad stories. A lot to do with, a lot to do with death today. So if that's a sensitive subject for you, there's pretty much a theme going on today, unfortunately, with some local stories and then some national stories, as well as some huge weather stories going on. There's lots to talk about. So good morning, David. Thanks for being with us again today. Happy Thursday to you, and happy Thursday to all those at Facebook and YouTube. Thank you very much, people at Facebook, for opening up the gates, I guess you could say, and I've noticed a few followers and likes trickling in, which I think they were paused for a reason, for a season, not sure why, but thank you so much for being on that. As soon as I mentioned it on the show, it seems like things opened up a bit, so really appreciate you, all that you do in moderating. It's not an easy job to do, making sure everybody is adhering to community standards. And so with that, we are on Facebook, facebook.com/Sudbury News, youtube.com/Sudbury News. And you can comment on both of those platforms and we will be coming through your comments. And for people on radio, we'll make sure to mention those as they come in. Not always easy to do, however, because we're in real time, and I'm the one who's hosting the show, as well as making sure all technology is working at the same time as getting to the comments and making sure the conversation is going, right? So with that, good morning, Lynn. Hope you're having a good morning. Jerome, same thing. Let's get at it. Yes, for sure. There is lots to talk about. And good morning, Judy. Thanks for being with us this morning. It's going to be a great show, although there's some sensitive material in it. It is what it is. News happens, and we report on it. We talk about it, unpack it, and we're just going to do our best to get through it. So with that, let's get to the weather, and we'll be right back after this. So Sudbury weather brought to you by sudburyweather.ca. Lands on our sudbury.news website. Currently it is minus 9 degrees, but it feels like negative 16. There is light snow, and the humidity is at 87%. There is an Environment Canada warning. Hazards of snowfall amounts 20 to 40 centimeters Saturday or Saturday night. So snow squalls Saturday into Monday for the Sault Ste. Marie area. So that is basically coming in from the Great Lakes. And we're gonna have a video that'll show you the whole satellite of North America in a few seconds and what's happening with Northern Ontario. So we're in a strange place where it seems like we're the nucleus of all this weather going around, is circulating right around us. And so it's really interesting. North America is experiencing a once in a generation weather happening right at Christmas time, right smack dab in the middle. Coincidence or not, it's happening. So, but today's weather, we'll get to that video in a second. Today's weather, there's snow in an amount of 2 centimeters for Greater Sudbury. Wind becoming 20 kilometers near noon. High of minus 4, wind chill minus 16 this morning, and minus 8 this afternoon. Tonight, snow at times, heavy, amount 10 to 20 centimeters. Wind is east 20 kilometers, gusting to 40. Temperature steady near minus 3. Wind chill near minus 10. And for Friday, snow at times heavy, amount of 10 centimeters. So you're looking here between tonight and tomorrow. If we get the most snow predicted, that could be up to 30 centimeters between today and tomorrow, or tonight and tomorrow all day. So I guess it is what it is. Snowmobilers, people that want to go out snowshoeing, skiing, enjoy the outdoors. This is good news for you. Traveling, not so much. Okay, you got Friday, snow heavy at times, minus 1's the high. Saturday, flurries, minus 12. Sunday is where there's a mix of sun and cloud. That is Christmas Day, just to remind anyone who wasn't aware of that, or it is looking like Christmas Day will be nice, which I kind of figured would happen. And then Monday as well, looks like it'll be half decent, minus 11, mix of sun and cloud. Same for Tuesday. And then we're looking at 30% probability of snow coming in on the Wednesday. Look at your satellite here over Northern Ontario. As you can see, the white is cloud cover and the blue is precipitation, snow, and so a lot of activity going on all through the Great Lakes area, coming into our area. And now I want to share with you a video that I found from ABC News last night, touching on what's going on here. It's kind of unprecedented, and it's right here. I should have known where it is. So check in on ABC News coverage of this unprecedented weather happening here at this time in 2022.
In the meantime, we turn now to this major Christmas storm sweeping across the country tonight. Of course, moving right across the nation. There are already many flight cancellations for tomorrow. We're going to take you through it all tonight. And in New York tonight, preparing for a 40-degree drop, wind chills, getting set for the coldest Christmas in most of the country in decades. Already tonight, 40 states from the Northwest and Washington to Texas in the South, all the way up to the Northeast right there, all under alerts for snow, heavy rain, ice, brutal cold, and dangerous winds. Blizzard conditions tonight from Minneapolis to Chicago, creating a holiday travel nightmare. The wind gusts in several major cities creating concerns for air travel and driving. And then the wind chills, as I mentioned, set for much of this country. It's the most wonderful time of the year. Rob Marciano standing by in New York for us. What's coming? And Alex Perez on the travel headaches already. He's in Chicago tonight.
This is an absolute whiteout.
Tonight, what the National Weather Service is calling a once-in-a-generation storm, unleashing chaos on millions of holiday travelers taking to the roads. Heavy squalls engulfing drivers on I-90 east of Rapid City, South Dakota. The storm leaving massive snow drifts and wrecked vehicles behind in Washington state. In Oregon, sheriffs confirming one person was killed in a multi-vehicle accident on an icy Interstate 84 overnight. And from Chicago's O'Hare to New York's LaGuardia, families packing airports. Airlines already canceling more than 800 flights tomorrow. Behind that snow and wind come the coldest temperatures in decades, stretching all the way to the deep south. In Texas, officials insist they are prepared to handle power outages.
The power grid will remain up and running very robustly during this very cold snap.
And David, here in Chicago, we are bracing for a sharp 36-degree drop in the temperature here tomorrow. It will feel like 30 below zero. When it's that cold, frostbite can begin to set in less than 10 minutes. David?
Glad you're bundled up tonight, Alex, you and the team. Thank you. Let's get right to senior meteorologist Rob Marciano in New York for us tonight. Rob, take us through it.
Well, everyone's going to see these drastic changes in temperatures and a decrease in conditions for sure. 70 below zero was the wind chill this morning in parts of Montana, and Denver will see temperatures drop overnight to 60 degrees in just a matter of hours. All right, the map is lit up like a Christmas tree, and not in a good way. We've got advisories from coast to coast and a lot of red on the map now. Blizzard warnings are expanding in through Iowa and parts of Minnesota, and now western Michigan. You're going to be in it for a while, and the low there really starting to crank up tonight and in through tomorrow as it heads towards Chicago. We'll see it rapidly intensify. That's going to expand the wind field. That's going to deepen the low pressure. That's going to make winds for 50 to 60 miles an hour on both sides, the warm and cold side of this thing. So that means power outages will be prevalent and a messy day tomorrow afternoon across the I-95 corridor. And the cold air sweeps in Friday morning, but the winds continue to blow across the Great Lakes. We'll see power outages and potentially a flash freeze behind this front come Christmas Eve. All right, let's go over the numbers as far as the temperatures are concerned. There you see Denver minus 16 Friday morning, 1 in Dallas, minus 26 in St. Louis for a wind chill. And come Saturday morning, Christmas Eve morning, those numbers will be spreading over towards the East Coast, so nearly the entire country well below zero for wind chills, and it does not get any warmer on Christmas Day. David?
All right, we just want everyone to get there safely, so take their time, pack the patience, as we always say. Rob, thank you again tonight.
Hi, everyone.
So there you go. That's. I just wanted to share that with everyone to see the depth and the scope of what's going on. It's not just local; it's all over North America. It's basically unprecedented. Not sure what's happening there. So here you go. So that's your weather, brought to you by SudburyWeather.ca. We'll be back with all the headlines, and there's lots to talk about today. Right after this. Oh, yes. So thanks for being with us all. Everyone's checking in this morning. Natalie, best part of my morning commute each day. Thank you so much for that. And since you were a guest on the show, you've definitely been a great contributor, ongoing. And thank you so much for that. Appreciate it. Happy Thursday to you. Good morning, all. Have a Merry Christmas. Yes, that's from Julia. And one Julia to another Julia, good morning. And Cliff, so this must be the year that the story Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer prophesied about. Yes, exactly. Crazy, crazy weather going on out there. We'll have to, make sure you have all the things that you'll need just in case there are power outages. Have some emergency supplies on hand, flashlights. Make sure you have whatever you can have to keep warm. Just kind of think out what would happen if your power went out. And I think it's common sense to a large degree what you might need in order to get through that. But terrible timing. Why couldn't this have happened last week? So everybody's travel plans are, I hope not too many people are affected by it, but unfortunately, I think many will be. Now, on to the headlines today. We had an unfortunate accident in Hanmer. A 47-year-old man died after the snowmobile crash in Greater Sudbury, and he was also with a woman who is in hospital with minor injuries. So the police are not releasing any information on who this individual was, possibly to get a hold of family and friends and make sure that everybody is notified so they don't find out through the news. But anyways, sad news. Prayers and thoughts go out to family and friends of that individual. And might as well keep with that. Unfortunately, yesterday we talked about a man who was missing from Espanola, and word just came in that it did not end positively. The man was found deceased. The body of Sudbury man, missing since December 19th, has been found in a remote area south of the city. Mark Jim Batista, he was 51. He was reported missing around 9 p.m. December 19th, and police provided the photo and description, which we did share on the show, as well as a description of his truck. And police said at the time he may be in the area of this Highway 17 bypass, and around 11:40 p.m., not yesterday, but the night before, Greater Sudbury police were dispatched to Oak Ridge Road, which runs along Long Lake off Moxham Landing, and police said a member of the public they said they saw a vehicle matching the description of his truck, and unfortunately upon arrival the police officers found that he was unfortunately deceased. No foul play is suspected, and it's just a very sad ending to that story. And so again, our thoughts and prayers go out to him, his family, his friends, any acquaintances. It's a very sad thing. So it seems to be, again, I was not looking forward to today's show just because of the those two stories in general, and then the deep dive going along with it today. But let's talk about some happy stories, because there are. Look, this is the thing. There's so many stories going on of real good deeds. There's businesses that are donating to good causes, and that is so amazing. Every year, there's so many people who give back. Schools have done so much for the food banks and raising money for people in need, and so have businesses. Businesses have been doing all kinds of things. Organizations have been doing this through Christmas. So we've seen a lot of news coverage on those particular good deeds by businesses and individuals. So we haven't shared all of them, but I thought this one was kind of significant. With recent $500,000 donation, a Sudbury family and their construction company have now given more than $1 million to Neo Kids Foundation. Now that is a significant donation. It's the Kuzno family, and they own OCP Construction Supplies, and they've donated over $1 million to Neo Kids. And so that's not, I don't just share that because they have the means and whatever to raise that much money. Any of the businesses that have raised anything for any organization that needs the help is amazing, and it is newsworthy. However, just on the show, we only have the allotted time, and so to share all of them it would just take so much time. So again, my heartfelt thank you to not only the Kuzno family at OCP, but all of the businesses and individuals who have done so much good for this community over this time of year. There's so many people in need, and with this weather coming, it's really there's a lot of people that will be affected who are vulnerable through this as well, and so there's going to be a lot more need for people to reach out and to help. Hopefully we'll get to this. LTC Homes, a dumping ground, Sudbury doctor says. A Sudbury doctor says severely ill and psychiatric patients being moved to long-term care homes to free up hospital beds. Ontario long-term care homes are feeling the effects of the hospital overcrowding. So the hospital is overcrowded, so they don't have anywhere to put people, and they're putting them in long-term care facilities. So there is a healthcare crisis out there. There's many crises, if you haven't noticed. So I don't know. We'll just go through there's a homeless, people experiencing homelessness crisis, if I want to be politically correct. There is an opioid crisis. There is a housing crisis. There is a long-term health crisis, hospital healthcare in general, a crisis. Those are just a few off the top of my head. So there's a lot of societal crises that are affecting us locally. Oh, my sound is gone? I hope not. I hope it's not on my end. If I'll just keep going on because no one else is chiming in. Maybe it's on your end, Julia. I'm not sure. Good morning, Diane. Thanks for being with us this morning. It's such a great opportunity to be with everybody every morning. I just feel like it's like getting together physically every morning for breakfast kind of thing. It's a really cool thing. Even though we're doing it virtually, we kind of have this connection every morning, and I really appreciate it. So thanks for chiming in. Make sure to comment on any of the issues as well, to whatever thoughts you might have, and I'll make sure to get them up on the screen and make sure to share them. So I do have a video about this particular problem, the long-term healthcare crisis that this Sudbury doctor is alluding to. And speaking of that, Brenda Sallow's husband was admitted to the emergency department at Health Sciences North Hospital, and he didn't have any clean sheets, blankets, or pillowcases. We talked about this yesterday on the show, but Sallow said they had to use a clean diaper with some cleaning solution to wipe down his gurney. So we talked about it in general, that there is a problem. Now here's a specific story of an experience that Brenda Sallow and her husband experienced while they were in hospital. We are in unprecedented times, I think, in terms of that. So Dano Cardinal says, what's going to be next? Bring your heart monitors, bring your own toilet paper. Oh, some of the people were suggesting at the hospital, maybe you can bring your own linens. So yeah, what's next? Bring your own everything. And then maybe eventually you just stay home and treat yourself, right? Do an operation on yourself, have your own CT scanner and all your own equipment at home, which I always advocate. I always thought, anyways, MRI machines, everyone should have one. I just thought that a long time ago, just because they're neat and it takes you months to get an MRI, and you got to go through 60 steps before the doctor will get you to an MRI, which is a perfect way to find out. It's just a scan of your body and is able to tell maybe some things, issues that are happening or issues that are going to be happening to prevent things from happening. So I thought everyone needs an MRI machine at home. So that's maybe the way that it's going. Sound is okay for David. Okay, sound is fine. Yeah, everyone's chiming. That's what I kind of figured. Oh, I'm freezing up now and then. Well, hopefully our Facebook people at Facebook who do such a great job can maybe help us out a bit there with the feed. Unfortunately, there's nothing much we can do here. But thanks for hanging in with us, and as long as the sound is working, we'll get through the show. So a couple of comments on the laundry issue at the hospital. Also, Karen says need to do their own laundry again, which I think is a feeling many of us have here, including Franz Jelena weighs in on that and basically says if it was to come back, we would need to buy all the new equipment again, a new facility. There would be cost to it. However, I'm not against that because, we have this new lottery and it could go a long way, right? Like that 14 million they've already made through the lottery could possibly go to new laundry facilities and solve a problem. That's what we need to do, right? Solve the problems and make care more humane for people that have already given most of their money in taxes to be able to get really good care back. That's all we ask for is really good care, right? So Brian says, hey, O'Brien's got an MRI machine if anyone needs an MRI scan. Go over to Brian's place. He built his own, apparently. He has his own homemade MRI machine. Just kidding, by the way. That is just a joke. Unreal, Joanne says. Andrew James says, the linens are still at the outsourced cleaners. What a cost savings. Now with the impending storm, who knows if they'll ever be seen. So yeah, they also claim that highway closures, which happened 4 times this year, make the linens come late. So they're stuck. They don't have enough linens. So you would think in that case, couldn't you just buy more linens and prepare for those types of things? That's just what crosses my mind. I don't know. It's just me. I could be wrong. But Wayne says they probably can't afford it. Just take a look at the CEO. We all know where he worked before he came to the hospital. So that's a comment from Wayne. Again, it's not my comment. And any comments made on this show are from the contributors, meaning you, the people in the community, myself. They are not necessarily a reflection of the station or the university under the umbrella the station is, which is Laurentian University. So the the words that are said on this show are our own words and don't necessarily reflect that of CKLU or Laurentian University. We're simply just saying people's comments and my own as well, and the guests that are on the show. So without further ado, we do have to get to the story of the day, I guess you can say, leading into a deep dive. So that is the Sudbury doctor speaking about the long-term healthcare homes being a dumping ground. Thermal imagery, yes, for sure. That's Jerome. And Brian says he agrees that dirty laundry should be local. Bring back those lost jobs. Yes, for sure. So keeping with the medical theme, here's a Sudbury doctor talking about the crisis which we're facing, where we're taking psychiatric patients and dumping them into long-term care facilities in which they don't have the resources to deal with. So we'll be right back after this.
Long-term care is really the Achilles heel of the healthcare system.
Dr. Maurice St. Martin is a veteran Sudbury-based physician and a medical director at 2 long-term care facilities. After 4 decades of caring for the elderly population, he says he's come to a realization about the state of long-term care homes across the province, and that is that better communication is needed.
There's been instances where community partners have literally lied about the status of these residents to get them admitted into institutions. And, it's my responsibility as a primary care physician, an MRP, a most responsible physician, to care for these people and make sure that they're safe, staff are safe, and that hasn't always been the case.
Dr. St. Martin says lately this issue has become a lot worse. He says patients have arrived at his long-term care facility unannounced, or patient information is outdated, sometimes by 6 months.
In 6 months, a lot can happen with these frail elderly. Anywhere from having heart attacks, strokes, falling, breaking hips, repeated deliriums. That information needs to be known to the accepting facility and to the physician so that we can provide appropriate care.
The Provincial Ministry of Long-Term Care says patients are only discharged from the hospital if their doctor has determined hospital care is no longer needed. And then Home and Community Care Services becomes involved. In a statement, it says Home and Community Care Support Services works closely with patients to complete assessments and determine eligibility for long-term care home placement. Dr. St. Martin says this is not the case. He says there's been an increase in patients arriving at LTC homes with needs those homes simply aren't equipped to handle, including younger patients suffering from mental health issues.
We are becoming a dumping ground, literally, for psychiatric patients. The tradition, life expectancy in long-term care is 2.5 to 3 years. When you admit a 50-year-old schizophrenic who might be better served in a March of Dimes assisted living home or other type of settings like that, they pose a real threat to your frail 80, 90-year-old demented patients.
And he says more palliative patients are also arriving at LTC homes.
In the last 6 months, 2 HSN admissions were made palliative on the day of admission. Well, you know, those patients were imminently dying.
Dr. St. Martin says when palliative care and mental health patients are taking up LTC beds, it leads to a backlog within the whole system. The Ontario Health Coalition agrees. It says this is happening everywhere and it's led to a staffing problem.
But what we're seeing is people with mental health behavior issues. But that's a completely different situation, and that requires higher staffing levels than what we currently have in long-term care. So what we're seeing is long-term care is not built or equipped with enough staffing to deal with the increased acuity and the increased level of care that's needed for those types of patients.
Sudbury's hospital, Health Sciences North, also says where it sends people is decided by a collaborative approach between hospital staff and home and community care. As for a solution, Dr. St. Martin says there are several.
Money's going to help, but right now, let's deal with the collegial part of communicating and making sure the right person is transferred to the right place at the appropriate time in a safe manner.
Dr. St. Martin says long-term care facilities have been severely underfunded and understaffed for years. However, he says this can be fixed by improving communication between community partners to ultimately put patients at the center of care. Amanda Hicks, CTV News, Sudbury.
So yeah, it would be really nice to just have everything work the way that it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, you have people that have taken their money for years, their whole saving, whatever, throughout their years, they've worked, they've put savings away, whether it's to a pension or RSPs or whatever it is, and now they're using that money to get humane care, to be cared for in a way that all of us would want to, and it's not happening. And these long-term healthcare places are not staffed properly. They now have wait because of the baby boomer generation. The need is more than ever now, and the care is less than it's ever been. And we don't have the facilities, we don't have the staff to do that. Many were let go due to the mandates before, so we had a huge loss in the labor market due to that, which still the media is silent about. Not one media outlet mentions that at all as being one of the reasons, but that is one huge reason. Then the ones that are there, you know, they come in, and if they test, because they have to test every day for COVID, they test positive, they can't come to work. Now that lessens the staff for what? 5 to 10 days? It was 10 days. It was 14 days at one time, I think. It was a long time. And so, and even the tests are not 100% accurate. They're actually possibly only 50% accurate. So you have people going in testing negative and they go in with COVID, get everyone infected, and people going in testing positive and they don't have COVID and they go home for 14 days. How the heck can you run an industry like that? Any industry, let alone the healthcare industry. So now we need people to come in and work. So we're going to take people that were educated or have experience from countries other than Canada who their education or their experience may not be the same quality or up to the same standards as ours. And we're now going to fast track any of the people with those educations into our system. And so now the type of healthcare, sure, you'll have people in there, but the experience and the education level won't be at the same level as we are used to here. So you just see the Titanic, it hit the iceberg. Let's say COVID was the iceberg. I don't know. There's an iceberg of some kind. And it could be a multitude of things that's the iceberg. And now you see, if you've watched the movie at least, you know, the sequence of events as the water's coming in, you're trying to deal with the problems, but they just keep getting worse and worse and worse. And you can kind of see the end of what's going to happen to the Titanic. You already know the end when you're watching the movie, but as you see it unfold, one thing after another. And I think we're at the point where, in the movie anyways, you see the water coming up over the front of the boat. And that's basically, you know, once you see that, you're like, okay, the nose is going under the water. Now what? So what would you be able to do to a Titanic to solve the problem of it not sinking? I think we're in the same boat, pun intended, with our healthcare system, and that's what we're witnessing. So we're witnessing it, many ideas, lots of money being thrown at it, but it hit the iceberg, and the solutions would be drastic. And I don't know if people have that kind of intellect or foresight. And as a system, you know, we talk a lot about systematic this, systematic that. Well, there's nothing more systematic than our government, our social healthcare system, and then everything that comes with it. So that is hugely systematic. Once you start taking one thing and trying to deal with it, it's already joined to thousands of things. And so try to change even a small change in that system. Almost, it's like rescuing the Titanic during the time it's imploding while water is filling up inside. It's almost exactly the same as that. So that analogy is actually very good to go along with it. I think the military needs to look into LTC overcrowding, as they once did, right? They did during the pandemic. How convenient that the government has forgotten this already. Okay, that is one solution or Band-Aid that Brian is talking about. I agree. Stacy says it's not the right environment, but mental health patients need long-term care too, which they do. Severe underfunding and understaffing is right across the board with LTC for seniors, mental health care, and disabilities. I agree. Also, Stacy says the need is equal amongst all care populations, which is true. There is no shortage of need, but there needs to be an equal of good leadership and competent intellect and understanding. As a collective, though, that's impossible. Like we talked about systematically, it's already a system. Once you start going in there and trying to be innovative, innovation doesn't take place in a system that's been around like ours as long as it has, and it has so many components to it. Hard to be innovative, you know. That's the problem. It needs innovation. Jerome, Soylent Green, yeah, exactly. Unfortunately, that's kind of like where it's heading. For nothing, it was all a lie. The nose is going under the water with all the systems, sadly. Yes, that is true. And Cambrian College is instructing PSWs to insert catheters and give injections. 6-week program. Yeah. So that's another thing too. They're not only, allowing people to fast track through other countries and their educations, whatever. We're offering a condensed 6-week course on how to treat the people we love the most and care the most for and have given their whole lives to our society. And that's where everything's kind of going, right? You said it. We have too many jazz musicians on the Titanic. That's interesting. Yeah, I like that. In Sudbury, there are 2 hospitals closed, sold off, that could have easily been converted to long-term healthcare facilities. Yeah, very good point, Cliff. Much appreciated and very on point too. Throwing a bunch of money at the healthcare system is only a part of the solution, which is true. Without the rest of the working parts, the money is pointless and a waste. That is so true. And it's so dangerous, my friend. Yes. So again, it's like if you were on the Titanic and you were wondering what could have been done to prevent it, but you're going down with the ship regardless because you're on the ship. You got on the ship. There's no choice anymore. You're on it. And if you got to go to the hospital, you're going to experience the Titanic, because that's what I mean. That's your healthcare system. You are on the Titanic. So, what are the solutions? It's going to be our deep dive today, and it's an unfortunate one. Integrated medicine. Well, that's the thing. I think if you take ownership of your own health, that is one solution, right? Unless you need an operation, you have a broken arm, even that, there's ways you can deal with that. Who wants to, though? But if the medical system is that bad, it may be time to look into what you can do yourself to be self-reliant in terms of health. Make sure your weight is at a level that is healthy for your body type. Make sure you're eating healthy. Make sure you're getting the proper exercise. Making sure not only eating healthy, but what you're eating is providing the minerals and vitamins your body needs. And listen to your body. And like I said, exercise, getting good sleeps, a lot of water. There's all these things, right, that you can do to prevent having to go to the hospital. However, it's almost impossible. Oil of oregano, there are so many things, yes. If we start getting into all of the health things that we could possibly do, it would, the only solution, is it always comes down to you anyways. When you give up your power to another group of people, let's say a government, you're giving over your responsibilities. And I think that's what we do in Canada so much. We give over even our own safety. We're getting rid of all of our guns. We only talk about hunting guns, but we don't want to talk about guns even for our own safety, right? Like, but that is a particular thing. Wouldn't you want that if somebody was threatening your family? Wouldn't you at least want to take out what looks like a gun and say, back off, bucko? People will listen to that. Well, if you have like a little stick, or you just have, you're just saying, hey, stay away from my family. It's not really going to protect your family. And sure, you call 911. How long does it take to have, when you give your power over to someone else to protect you, you know that it's not immediate, and it comes with its own downsides. It's the same thing with your health. You can't just say, well, I'll just do what I want, whatever. And if I'm sick, I'll just go to the hospital, which many people do. I think that's another problem of our society. I got a headache, I'm going to go to the clinic. I don't know how many times I hear people say that. I'm going to the clinic when I got something. It's like, oh my goodness, your body is just getting rid of stuff. Again, it's lack of education. Unfortunately, our society does not educate us on our health. Dr. Teresa Tam was on the other day, and it was a big story. Teresa Tam, end of year, going to give us what we need to do to be healthy. And all she said was, get your vaccines and wear a mask. Really? Really? That's all you have to do to be healthy. That's what she said, quote unquote. You can go find it. That's all you have to do is make sure you wear a mask and get your vaccines, and you will be healthy. First time in history that creates health, are those two things. Anyways, one of my wife's friends was a paramedic in Manitoba, but Ontario refused to recognize her credentials. That is true. She would have had to take the complete paramedic course again, so she left the field. And now we're going to fast track people from other countries. That is true. Yeah, that's what I mean, right? Just we need people with that are competent in making these decisions. But again, it's the system. One person could have a good idea. They go to the system and say, hey, I got a good idea. The system basically, because it can't do anything other than say, no, our computer tells us this. We can't do it. There's a regulation. until there's a crisis, and then politicians get involved and they promise all kinds of things, and then they push things to go forward, and then it's not well thought out and whatever. It's just kind of a reactionary thing rather than an action. Oil of oregano in the eyes, I guess. Yeah, oil of oregano. Yeah, that is a very strong thing. Make sure you dilute it. There's so many things to health. I honestly, we'd have a 24-hour-a-day podcast just talking about health. Everybody's different. Everybody's blood type. Everybody's body type. Everybody's genetics. There's no one size fits all. There are a few things that can be said that are general, but there's each and every person needs their own specific health program. They call it health, and then they assume authority. That is true. Stacey, we've taken a lot for granted too. That is true. And Jennifer, good morning. Yes, good morning, Jennifer. You came in at a real time where everybody is chiming in. So yeah, terrible advice. I would think that you're referring to Theresa Tam's advice to just wear a mask and get a vaccine is the only thing we have to do to stay healthy. So unfortunately, the deep dive today is a story on the Sudbury Star here. And it is, there was a children's book. Canada funded this assisted suicide activity book for children. So we're talking about what are solutions we can do. And unfortunately, I think as the Titanic is going down, the healthcare system is going to tell us it is too bad. This is the only solution we have right here. This is the holy grail and I think people in healthcare are going to be too overworked and underpaid too. And they're just going to allow this to go forward too, because they're like, I can't think of any other solutions. The homelessness problem's too bad. The opioid crisis is too bad. There's too many people with mental health issues. There's too many people weighing on the system, too many elderly right now with the baby boomers. We don't have the infrastructure for this. Wait a minute. Here's the holy grail, right? Unfortunately. So you just have to know this as a society. You may be for it even, and that is your right to have that opinion. But this is what's happening. So Canada's funded this assisted suicide activity book for children. Medical assistance in dying is defined as, in the booklet, as the use of medicines to stop a person's body from working. So they're basically, and I shared on our Facebook page on this story, I shared the actual PDF of this booklet in the comments. So if you want to see the booklet itself, it's there. You just got to open it. It's a PDF document. Just as Ottawa publicly acknowledges that its assisted suicide regime might have gone too far, critics have highlighted the existence of a little-known medical assistance in dying children's activity book that was funded by the Canadian government. And here's one of the dudes from the government acknowledging that some people in the armed forces, some employees in the armed forces recommended medical assistance in dying to some vets who were suffering from PTSD, and they actually took that option. And now it got out in the media, and this person is acknowledging it and reprimanding it from happening. So let's just listen in for a second. Of course, the volume isn't up.
Chair and members of the committee. First of all, thank you very much for an invitation to appear before you once again to further discuss the deeply regrettable and horrific situation that came to our attention over the summer when medical assistance in dying was discussed with a veteran. I've said it before and I'll say it once again. What happened was totally unacceptable. There is no way to justify it, and I will not try to do that today or ever. As all you know, I've directed my deputy to conduct a full and thorough investigation into the matter and to do everything possible to ensure this never happens again. Our investigation into the situation is ongoing, as is the labor process. But this week, my deputy updated me that through the course of the investigation, 2 subsequent cases with the same veteran service agent have been confirmed, bringing the total number of cases from the employee to 4.
So there was one employee. They knew about 2 cases that this particular employee gave medical assistance in dying as the solution for these veterans, and they went down that road. Unfortunately, gave their lives due to the suggestion of this employee of Veteran Services that this particular person is admitting to. So we'll get back to that in a second, because later they denied that admission and apology. They denied it even existed, but it was right there on video. The book is not intended for children who are themselves seeking assisted death. There's a couple lies too here I want to point out. So the book itself is not intended for children who are themselves seeking assistance in death. It's a subject of it's not subject to mass distribution through schools or public libraries. Minors are ineligible for medically assisted death in Canada. Although there has been a push by the Quebec College of Physicians to extend the practice to severely disabled newborns. So it says minors are ineligible, right? So we'll see later in the story how there's a contradiction to that. Rather, the activity book is intended for children who may soon be attending a medically assisted death in person. So this book is made to help the young person cope with going to somebody's hospital room where they are going to be going through a medical assistance in dying procedure, and to understand what's going on so they're not traumatized. Created for young people who have someone in their life who may have MAID. The group declared in a statement. MAID is defined in the booklet as the use of medications to stop a person's body from working. And here's a few excerpts from the book, which you can go and just open up from the comments section on our Facebook feed of this story. The booklet describes MAID as a last-ditch measure reserved only for consenting adults afflicted with an illness or disability that hurts their body or their mind so much that it feels too hard to keep living. Children are guided through the 3 medicines that constitute a lethal injection process, and are urged not to attempt to change the mind of the family member who has opted for assisted death. Quote from the booklet says, as much as other people may want to change their mind, the person who is choosing MAID probably wishes just as strongly that they could change their illness or condition and how it is affecting their life, it reads. So don't try to change Grandma's mind or Uncle Bob's mind or anything while you're there, because that's not your place to do that. Financed by Health Canada, this 26-page booklet was written by particular lecturer at McMaster University and a consultant on grief in children. He's also behind the handbook Living Dying. The Canadian system of medically assisted death was legalized in 2016 following the Supreme Court of Canada ruling, and has rapidly become the world's most liberalized euthanasia regime. It has attracted international attention in recent months for a string of cases in which patients with chronic illnesses were offered death in lieu of treatment. This included at least 5 instances in which Canadian Armed Forces veterans were offered MAID by a Veteran Affairs caseworker after seeking help for chronic conditions including PTSD. On Tuesday, Minister of Veterans Affairs Lawrence Macaulay called it harmful misinformation that veterans were being offered assistance in death, despite what we just watched on that video, despite his own testimony to a House of Commons committee admitting as much. So you see what's going on here, right? Macaulay called it harmful misinformation that veterans were being offered assistance in death. Now we can go back and watch that video again. He just admitted it, right? So let's see if it's still there. No, it's going to load the ad now. So anyways, you can go on there and watch it again. No problem. but now he's saying it's misinformation. That he even said that. He made his own misinformation, apparently. However, last week, Justice Minister David Lametti did announce that he intended to delay the March rollout, which we've been talking about on the show, of a measure that would extend MAID to Canadians whose only underlying condition is mental illness. Remember those people that are crowding up the LTC, the long-term care facilities? Remember them people? So they want to extend MAID to those people as well. This came after multiple statements by Lametti that the MAID system was working. Well, of course, it's working really well. They're getting all kinds of people, 5,000, 7,000, 10,000, and we don't know what next year will be. And that controversial cases were aberrations, anomalies. They're mostly fine. Everything is working the way it's supposed to be. There's a few glitches, but other than that, everything's good. Recent years have also seen a growing number of Canadian institutions treating MAID as a normal component of the country's medical system. In 2020, the Parliamentary Budget Office prepared a report for the House of Commons noting that MAID would yield a net savings for the healthcare system by slashing the need for palliative care and other end-of-life costs. Solution to the problem we were talking about early on the show? That's what they're looking at. It's saving costs, right? Let's read that again. So in 2020, the Parliamentary Budget Office prepared a report for the House of Commons noting that MAID, medical assistance in death, would yield a net savings for the healthcare system by slashing the need for palliative care and other end-of-life costs. Those costs that we were just talking about with the long-term care, all the problems they have. This is the silver bullet. This is the magic bullet. This is the vaccine for that particular problem. This is wear your mask, get a vaccine, and all your problems go away. This is MAID. Made for you. Made in Canada. Last month, the Canadian clothing retailer Simmons took down a controversial ad, which we shared on this show. By the way, I can go back. I forget which exact one we did, but we shared a portion of it. I wish we would have shared the whole thing because they later took it down. The ad was going through the life of a person making the decision, right, to do it. It was called Hard Beauty, the assisted suicide of assisted suicide. It later emerged that the woman in the video featured in the ad, Jennifer Hatch, had sought MAID only after the BC medical system failed to provide her with the appropriate care to treat her disease. So you see what's happening now. It's too costly to treat. We can save money. It's almost like, burial or cremation. It'll cost too much to bury you, but you can get cremation. So we can treat your chronic illness, whether it's mental illness, whether it's this, whether it's that. It's going to cost too much. You're going to go through a lot of hard time. You might as well just take this option. People trust medical people. They don't just put a medical code on on an actor for a commercial for no reason. There's a trust factor there. There always has been. You put that code on somebody. I'm not a doctor, but I play one on TV kind of thing, right? So that's something that our society, if we're offering people this and it's just because they're listening to authority, we can see some issues with that. And with that, I got to end the show there. Unfortunately, our deep dive, there is more to the article. I encourage you to go on there, read it, watch the full testimony of this gentleman who later denied it as misinformation, and make your own decision. Or how do you feel about all this stuff? Is this a solution to the problem that we need? Are there other solutions? Is it too systemic that this is just the only way out? This is the only thing we can do? I don't know. What do you think about this? So thanks for listening today. We'll be back same time, same place tomorrow with Billy. He'll be in the studio with me tomorrow. It'll be a great show. Probably our last one for the Christmas holidays. We'll make it a good one. Make sure to join us. Thanks for being with us, everyone. Stay tuned now for Earshot Daily on CKLU. Have a great and safe day. Keep an eye on the weather. Ciao.
This is Sudbury News Talk on the morning shift.